What is up, everybody? I'm Novo coming at you with another one. I promised to do this video yesterday and I got sidetracked. I was just about to head out for a 100K ride. And then I realized I haven't done this yet. So, having a look at HIVE blockchain for those who are on the stock trading side of the crypto sphere. Hive obviously has been on a stellar run due to the Ethereum mining craze. And I'm just going over to log scale and zooming out for a bit so we can see this lovely zigzag pattern that has formed and a double top and the correction, and obviously the correction because crypto is on a correction as well. You can also see that once we go under the 50% of the RSI, the dump comes. A slight attempt here, a little bit of green candles challenging the 50 week. And then once we get above the 50 on the weekly, we can see the staircase of joy. And then as I zoom in a little bit more, you can see these tops. We've got higher highs and lower highs, suggesting divergence, meaning that the bottom sellers are selling to the top buyers. And then we see slow, grindy sells as we start to approach the 0.5 or the 50%, right? APO and MACD are bearish signals. However, we're above the zero cross, not below. So this looks like consolidation to me until we go below the zero. The submarine will be down here. So far, so good up above here. And this is on the weekly. So what can we expect for a bounce? Well, we've got the 21-week average here. We've got the 34 and the 50. We're about to challenge the 34-week. If the 21-week breaks, odds are the next possible bounce will be right about here. And this is the 307. And the 50 is sitting at around 250. So between $2.50 and $3 is looks like it's going to be the forecasted bounce. And if we look left, that's where most of the previous trading found resistance. In fact, the top was right about there, and you can see how the closes are there on the weekly. And we could even argue, I'm trying to find like, that's a close, that's an open, that's a close. We could go up a little higher, but I'm thinking around 250. So if we watch this 50 weekly, I want to reserve the argument for down here around 250. And if we go from the absolute top to the bottom, that would be about 65%. Maybe sometime next week, maybe the bottom might see a little bit of a dip and then up. I'm not sure. We're going over to daily. That's the 100. And yeah, we're still suggesting a little bit more of a correction on the daily. Forget this signal here. That's the Bitcoin indicator. Let me turn that off. Right there. And if we look at the APO and MACD on the daily scale, I mean, you can see lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, right? So we'll wait and see if we see a turn and start heading for the zero, at which point we'll probably get our first resistive points at the zero, and we need to build up speed before we start heading up. So right now, the emotional trend line is right about there. And you can see where the majority of momentum was here. So it stands to good reason that in the future, that's where our resistance is going to be. Because let's have a look at where is it? The fear and greed index, right? So, what is the average fear and greed index for the market right now? Everyone is at a level of fear. Yesterday, there was some hopium, and now everybody is scared. And if we go over to Bitcoin USDT, same thing, right? And here's an example of the APU and MACD where we have a bounce, and where are we finding resistance? Right at the zero cross. Look left. Where's the majority of the volume or momentum happening? Right at the zero cross. So somewhere between this zone right here will be, I guess, kind of like a resting phase. So we got resistance, and now we're waiting to see if we have a turn higher than this turn. If we have a turn higher than this turn, even if the price is going down, we're showing that momentum is starting to pick up. What does that mean? It means that those looking for a deal, there's people starting to step in, right? So if we go over to price, let me close this for a second. This is a pretty old chart. So I think I was called crazy when I said that Bitcoin was over bought and needed to correct. And we were looking at around 42 to 45. We're very close. This made me second guess myself whether, there was a pretty violent dump and then a bounce. But what do we have here? We have a lower high, so a confirmation of further downtrend. We have a lower low, another confirmation of further downtrend. We have APO and MACD below the zero cross. Again, arguing down. We have the RSI below the 0.5. We're about to challenge the 30. What's the direction right now? For me, the direction is down. If we go on to lower time frames, let's say the hourly, we've got a definite resistance level. Well, there's that, but I think our next pop up, we're going to see resistance at around 52-ish. We're going to be testing the 21 and the 34 on the hourly. I think maybe we'll get up to the 50 before we turn and come back down. I'm going to the 4 hour. And oops. So, I mean, at a glance, we join these two tops. That is a trend angle of price and time. And if we were to come up, more likely than not, we'll get some sort of resistance within this zone and a continuation down. So how would we know if that's happening? If we look at the volume, like price came down to a level, and yet we saw more and more selling, right? More selling, more selling, more selling. And then it continued on to the dump. We have less buying than previous selling, suggesting not enough momentum to the upside. The volume is dropping off. And if we don't have volume increasing, then price is not really going to increase very much. So we're in a consolidation phase as we try and figure out what's going on with the crypto space. A much needed break. You can see the rounding off of the price. So we've peaked, and let's go to that Bitcoin indicator again. So SMA2, that's the 350-day average times 2, the price, and the 111. So when these two cross, it suggests a top, and that would be this guy. And I find I'm repeating myself, but for newcomers, this is what we talk about. In fact, I think I need to go over to BLX because that is the longest. And I think I got to delete a lot of this stuff because I've been playing around with percentage drops and whatnot. And all we're doing is we're trying to find patterns, right? So let's go auto. So the down the rabbit hole indicator, which is a collection of different indicators all wrapped into one. For those who have free memberships and can't afford multiple indicators, it's all wrapped into one, and you can go in. I don't take credit for this indicator. I just put a bunch of them together in the coding. So basically what you see here. So we've got the data collection. These are the multipliers of the 350 SMA, the top detector, and then the moving averages. You can come down here and edit and put whatever moving average you want for yourself, yada, yada, yada. But looking at BTC in the past, this thing has called the top within 3 days the last 4 times. And I said in previous videos that it could have potentially called this first one, but we didn't have enough data before that. And if I zoom in, you can see that the intersection was, I don't know, kind of close. So what does this mean? This means that the average 350-day moving average price, right? The orange line is basically double the price, and the 100 average, the faster moving average, comes up and intersects the 350 times 2. So twice, when the 111 meets twice the price of, or 200% the price of the 350-day average, when we see a cross there, it speculates that Bitcoin meets a top within 3 days. And I mean, if you go to my profile and try this indicator out, go back and count, and you will see that, yes, indeed, it did. And if we go over to our present day, as of right now, I think we were 3 days early. I think it was 3 days early. So it flashed here. 1, 2, yeah, and there, 3. And we are presently trending down. Is this going to be the crash down to 80%? I don't believe that to be the case. I think we're just going to come down and chill out for a bit. And if we look at the weekly, where's the weekly? 21 weekly, we're fast approaching that. So somewhere between, if this flattens out, somewhere around 46 to 40 to 45 might be the bounce. If not, then we start looking over here. That being said, going back to HIVE, I mean, a tide raises all ships, and right now the tide is coming down. So all of crypto space, even though the alts move faster, had an alarm here, sorry. Even though the alts move faster than Bitcoin, if Bitcoin's going down, odds are all the alts are also correcting at the same time. So everybody is cashing out, going liquid, and they're waiting to start going back in. So if you are a contrarian and you see fear, if everyone is afraid and selling, we kind of wait for a bottoming effect before we start getting back in, right? And you can see that around 40 is roughly where things start to bounce. Now we're down around 30. So this could be the new bounce territory. I'm not saying to get in now. I'm just saying be ready. Going back to Hive. So, crypto Hive. So this is basically stock in the Ethereum mining space. And, this thing reached a top as well and is correcting. And if we go to daily, 15 minutes, we're fast approaching the 350 times 2. Not really looking at that as a bounce, but we're in the zone of where the first pause was, right? So that's why I'm thinking I might even argue like, I don't know, 230, but 250. We'll wait and see what happens with 250. If we go to lower time frames, there's the 350 right there sitting at 250. Maybe there'll be one more dump. So, a Hail Mary from 349 to 250, this is going to scare a lot of people if it goes down there. And there may be buyers waiting down there. I don't have access to what's going on here. But if we go over to Binance, looking at level 2 here, sectioned off by 100s, so 3,000, 3,100, blah, blah, blah. You can see how it's like 3, 4, 5 mil. We've got 15 mil sitting at 3,000, and we have 28 mil sitting at 3,300. So, and 26 mil sitting at 3,500. So it could be bounce territory is around 33, 35. And the ceiling, I mean, look at this. This is heavy ceiling pressure here, right? 4,000, 26 million, 20 million, almost 20 million, 30 million, 40 million, 45 million. What are the odds of us hitting 4,600 today? How many millions do we have to consume in order to get up the block? Very, very difficult. So we're top heavy. That means further pressure going down. And if there's that much pressure going down, this could be eaten up the 3,500. So I would start speculating a little lower, right? A Hail Mary down around 3,300 from almost 3,800. Wouldn't that be a nice cash in? So something to think about. Now on the hourly, you can see the definite downward trend, and then this wick and a higher low. So now we have a triangle pattern forming, right? 18 minutes. So until that triangle pattern is broken, Hive should continue down. And yeah, we need to get above 50%. So we may have to dip one more Hail Mary down here before we start going up. Let's go over to ETH. Sorry, this takes so long. There's always so much to cover. And there's your triangle. So we'll go to hourly for a second. And auto. And we'll turn off the rabbit hole. Right there. I want to say it's going to go a little higher. Okay. So this is the trading range that we're in. We're fast approaching a top area. We need to break through that for a continuation. But judging by the fact that the APO and MACD are below the zero cross, odds are when we reach this is going to turn, and then we're going to turn and come back down. So that's basically how I would read it. Red candles are low volume candles because we're below here. We're below 50%. It looks like the turn is coming, and hopefully a higher low. So that is Hive.